and field goal percentage. Robert Brickey elevating to the 10th floor for thunderous jams. And Danny Ferry, simply one of the most consistent and possibly the best player in college basketball today. Coach Mike Krzyzewski has his team primed, averaging over 93 points a game. Out in Seattle, Mike Hayward, last year's Pac-10 Freshman of the Year, is struggling below 10 points a game. But junior guard Eldridge Rakasner has picked up the slack, throwing in over 60 in a contest. Can Coach Andy Russo's team stuff their 4-game skid? Against the nation's #1 team, it could be a long night for the Huskies.
The Duke Blue Devils come to Seattle for the first time of what they hope will be 2 times this basketball season. Tonight, they play the Washington Huskies. The next time, they hope they'll be playing for the national championship. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Dan Belwamity. And Dan, to be very honest about it, what you have here tonight is 2 teams going in diametric opposite directions. Duke, of course, undefeated, the #1 ranked team in the country. Washington, 4 losses, and a couple of those pretty embarrassing losses.
I think it's really time, Barry, for Washington to turn this thing around. Andy Russo's not sure how this club's going to really come out and play. Motivation isn't going to be a factor. You're playing the #1 team in the country, so they got to be ready. On the other hand, you've got the Duke Blue Devils. They're 8-0. They score, they rebound, they're a power team, they've got a lot of finesse. That's probably why they win a lot of games.
It isn't often that you and I can stand here before the opening tip-off and say we may be seeing the very best college basketball player in America, but tonight we can say that.
Well, I really think Danny Ferry's certainly got a leg up. There's other players, Glenn Rice at Michigan and certainly Sean Elliott at Arizona, but you can't deny what Ferry has done. He's just been outstanding. He scored a lot of points, and certainly when you look at the keys for this basketball team, Mike Krzyzewski has to look at Danny Ferry. And when they get the ball in Ferry's hands, good things seem to happen. So I'm sure Mike's looking to get him the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, 58 good things happened just a couple of weeks ago against Miami. There's Danny Ferry warming up. But the interesting thing about it, when you look at those 58 points, you say, yeah, the guy's a great shooter. And true enough, he is a great shooter. But that's not the only thing he's great at.
He's a pretty good passer. He can rebound the ball. He can play on the perimeter. He can do a lot of different things. So it's a quality player on a quality team.
Well, the one good thing about the Washington Huskies, after 4 losses on the road, they come back home tonight. That's got to have a positive effect. But when you talk to their keys, inconsistency has been their story, and they're going to have to get some scoring punch up front.
They're going to have to get a lot of scoring punch up front. And I really think one of their keys is the rebound of basketball. And when you talk about rebounding, that's front line depth. Mike Hayward has been an important cog in the wheel. And when Hayward scores, they seem to be right up there and get some wins. In the last 4 games, Hayward hasn't done much, and they're on a skid right now.
Yeah, they have been on again, off again. And Duke, well, Coach K says, we're good. We could be great. Now let's go back to John Saunders.
Okay, thanks a lot, gentlemen. Talking of greatness, Danny Ferry, the last 3 games shooting over 77% from the field. At halftime of this game, we'll check scores and highlights, including a great battle in the Big East between #5, the Georgetown Hoyas, and #10, the Seton Hall Pirates. Stay with us. There's more to come. Duke ready to tip it off against Washington. They're #1 in the nation, the Devils. ESPN's NCAA basketball, Duke at Washington, is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Trucks. On the street or off the road, it's the new spirit of Dodge. By the financial professionals at Payne Weber. And by Nike, who reminds you to just do it.
Barry Tompkins with Dan Belwamity. We're back at the Heck Edmondson Pavilion here in Seattle. The Blue Devils and the Huskies. Let's meet them now with the public address announcer here in Seattle, Lou Gellerman.
Again, welcome to Heck Edmondson Pavilion for this basketball game between the undefeated Duke University Blue Devils and the University of Washington Huskies. Here are the starting lineups. First for the visiting Blue Devils, as announced by their head coach, Mike Krzyzewski. Starting at one forward, he's 6'5", a junior from Fayetteville, North Carolina, number 21, Robert Bricky. At the other forward, he's 6'10", a senior from Bowie, Maryland, number 35, Danny Ferry. At center for the Blue Devils, he's 6'10", a freshman from Angola, New Jersey, number 32, Christian Leitner. At one guard, he's 6'4", a junior from University Park, Illinois, number 3, Phil Henderson. At the other guard, he's 6'3", a senior from Mercer Island, number 14, Quinn Snyder, the head coach for the Blue Devils, Mike Krzyzewski. The assistant coaches, Bob Bender, Mike Bray, Pete Gaudette, and Tommy Amaker. And now, the starting lineup for the University of Washington Huskies, as announced by their head coach, Andy Russo. Starting at one forward, he's 6'5", a sophomore from Los Angeles, number 21, Dion Brown. At the other forward, he's 6'8", a sophomore from San Rafael, California, number 45, Mike Hayward. Center for the Dogs, he's 6'7", a junior from Pasco, number 33, Mark West. At one guard, he's 6'2", a junior from New Orleans, number 5, he's the captain, Eldridge Rakasner. At the other guard, he's 6'2", a junior from Seattle, number 35, Maurice Riggs. The head coach for the Huskies, Andy Russo. Assistant coaches, Joe Cravens, Ken Smith, Jeff Price, and Richie McKay.
So there you have the participants in this one. It'll be the number 1 Blue Devils and the hometown Washington Huskies. And we'll be back to get started after this. Pavilion here in Seattle, the site of this one, the Washington Huskies and the Duke Blue Devils. And let's take a look at the officials in this ballgame. Veteran Pac-10 Conference crew, Richie Ballesteros will be the referee. The umpires, Willis McJunkin and John DeBrow. And a look at the series record here. Shows a short series, of course. Duke leading at 2-1, and Andy Russo, I'm sure Dan would gladly take that same result as back in 1984 tonight.
I think it might get his team untracked a little bit if he could beat the number 1 team in the country, but he's going to have to do a lot of things right this evening if he's going to win this game, because Duke is a powerhouse, and they sure have been playing well. When we talked to Andy Russo, I don't think even Andy Russo knew what to expect tonight from his team. They've been a mystery. They've had a couple of good wins. They beat DePaul at DePaul in the Horizon. No small task that.
No, that's a great win. Came from behind, in fact, and won that game, and then beat Memphis State here. But since then, it's been downhill.
Rapidly. Juggernaut. They lost to the 2 Arizona schools by a combined 81. Danny Ferry back up top now for Snyder. Snyder, hometown favorite, of course. He's from Mercer Island. That's a suburb of Seattle. Ferry, turnaround jumper. He is hammered.
Man-to-man on the first series by Washington. Ball right in the hands of Danny Ferry on the first sequence, and he took it in strong. Draws the foul. We thought that might be a key right away, and they get the ball in Ferry's hands. He brings it strong to the basket. Dion Brown picks up his first foul.
And Ferry has just done everything that could possibly be asked of a college basketball player so far this year. 73, just about a 74% free throw shooter, and shooting 62%, almost 63% from the floor. But over the last 3 games, he's shooting it at 78%.
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
78. We'll let him shoot a couple more times if he continues that percentage.
Dion Brown, very good one-on-one player. Here's Mike Hayward. He's got Ferry in his face tonight. Duke will play man-to-man.
They better be selective on their shot attempts. Use the 45-second clock. Try to get the ball around the basket.
Underneath it goes to Riggs. Back out for Brown. Ferry jumps out on Brown now. This is Mark West, kind of an undersized center. Double teamed by the Blue Devils, and the pass is knocked out of bounds by Snyder. 10 seconds left on the shot clock.
Good defensive sequence that time by Duke. The Huskies need to be aware, Barry, as you mentioned, 10 seconds to get the ball up, not a lot of time. So when they get the ball in bounds, they're going to have to get a quick shot.
Hayward will inbound for the Huskies, and he's been a mystery man this year. Well, the play would have worked. Picked clean is Brown by Snyder. On the wing, here's Ferry. Pump fakes, doesn't take it. Henderson will.
Great pass by Ferry that time. Good look inside on the transition. That's why he can do so many different things. He can beat you with the shot, but an excellent passer.
Well, somebody likened him, the way he plays basketball, to playing chess. He's 4 or 5 moves ahead at all times. Of course, he comes from basketball roots. Rick Hasner has it slapped away momentarily by Bricky, and Henderson reaches in and fouls.
Now, the last time Duke played man-to-man on the out-of-bounds, and if it was not for an errant pass, Washington would have had an easy basket. So let's see if Duke again is going to play man-to-man. Well, they're a man-to-man basic team. Execute and run your offense. You should get a good shot.
Yeah, they'll rarely get out of that man-to-man. It will help out occasionally, a little bit matchup. There's a jumper by West.
Little full-court pressure now put on by the Huskies. And defense is the key for this ball club. They're going to have to stop them and rebound the ball. Don't give the Blue Devils a second shot. Good defense by Deion Brown.
Knocking the ball away. Bricky on the lob. Couldn't quite get there. And a reach-in foul is going to be called on Bricky.
I thought the defense of Brown caused it. He put a lot of pressure on Ferry, who tried to lob the ball over the top. Good intensity so far by Washington. Duke is the kind of club that if you relax and you have a spell where you don't play well for 4 or 5 minutes, they could run 10, 12 points in a row and it's over.
And Washington's problem, as a matter of fact, has been consistency. Deion Brown off the pass from Hayward.
Oh, Hayward taking a page out of Ferry's book, saying, I can make that pass. Nice lob and a look. Now a charge. Looks like they got Snyder on a charge, or stepped out of bounds.
I think he might have stepped on a line. I'm not sure what that call was. I think DeBrow called him on the line.
Couldn't have been a charge. Had to be on the line.
Riggs playing very good defense. Huskies doing everything right so far, but we're early. And just as I say that, Riggs turns it over.
You did it again.
That's right. Kiss of death. K.O.D. Full court pressure here.
Good defense. Right up on him. Make it tough. Nothing easy. Best passer normally takes the ball out of bounds. Snyder can handle. He's one of the outside. They got outside and inside guys. They don't have guards and forwards. Duke likes to play 3 on the perimeter and 2 people around the basket. Ferry can go either way.
Yeah, I found that interesting. In fact, there's Ferry on a perfect pass by Henderson.
And a nice job of not walking with the ball. Get it inside, pump fake it, keep the pivot foot down, make it easy.
Just to conclude that thought, when we were talking with Coach Krzyzewski this morning, he was saying that he doesn't have position players, doesn't have forwards and centers and guards. He only has 2 positions, perimeter and post. And just about everybody on his team is capable of playing both positions.
That makes for a very versatile, good basketball team when you can move people around. He can put a very big lineup on the floor. Got a great freshman in Leitner, number 32, and he feels it's his best freshman he's had since Danny Ferry, so that's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot, because he has a lot of athletes. Here's Henderson now, 2 on 4. Henderson puts it on the floor, has the basket, draws the foul.
Thought he might have turned it over, almost had a carry as he was coming down the floor, and that's what Andy Russo wanted. But instead, Henderson, with good size, explosive jumper, took it in with the left hand and just made a nice move as you get the transition. Here's where you almost had, there it is right there. Thought he did have a carry, got away with it, but then took it in and picked up the foul.
Might have turned that one over. 4 for Henderson, and he'll go to the line and try to make it an even 5. There you see his average and his assist. Of course, double figures on this Duke team is redundant.
A lot of people, in fact, they've got a guy, John Smith, who'll come off the bench that's averaging in double figures.
Pick clean by Snyder. Race to the basket. Snyder protects with the body. Couldn't get the shot to go, and no foul. And how about that play by Snyder? Leads for Henderson. Leans in. It's short. Foul called. Henderson will go to the line.
Either that or they look like they might get a charge on Henderson, but what a play by Snyder when he was on the ground. Guy's laying on the floor, makes the pass.
Was a charge, as you saw. Kubek comes on replacing Henderson. And Mike Krzyzewski will play basically 3 guards, and we'll call them guards even though Mike refers to them as perimeter players.
Can't turn the ball over when you're on the perimeter and give Duke easy baskets. Make them earn every basket down the floor. The Huskies need to get some points up. And this guy right here, Hayward, I really think got to look to shoot the ball a little bit.
He can shoot it from out there. Lob pass, back door, there's West. And a great defensive play by Bricky. Ball on the floor, fought for. Brown has a hand on it. Now Snyder, jump ball, alternating possession. It'll be the Huskies' ball.
Pretty good weak side help that time by Bricky. I think he surprised West. West thought he had an easy basket. All of a sudden, Bricky flying from the stratosphere gets the block.
Bricky, one of those guys, not only a basketball player, he's a great athlete. Matter of fact, he's the best athlete on this Duke team. And he showed you pretty good athletic ability right there.
Convinced me on that play.
Yeah, that's right.
He was looking down at that one.
Eldridge Rakasner, who's been invisible so far tonight. Here's Hayward, the jumper, a little soft, won't go. Snyder, the rebound for Duke.
Really, Mike Krzyzewski felt that the guards may be the leading rebounders because Washington takes a lot of outside shots.
Bricky all the way to the basket, floats it up a little hard that time, but underneath is Leitner to follow. Leitner coming off his first start the other night against Cornell. He had 20 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists. Or 5 steals, I beg your pardon, 2 assists. Loose ball again. Ferry fights for it, and Brown draws a foul on Ferry. So Ferry is guilty of the foul, and we got a timeout. 15:45 remaining first half. Duke leads it by 7. Team playing like the nation's #1 ranked team. They lead by 7. We talk about the multi-dimensional Danny Ferry.
He can do so many good things for this basketball team. Not only a scorer, but the kind of player that will make everyone else better by his passing. He understands the game, knows where people are on the floor, gives it up for easy baskets.
How about this for a compliment, Dan, not to interrupt?
Looks like there Dave Bliss with a great comment and a compliment to Danny Ferry, one of the great passers in college basketball.
Comparing him to some pretty good passers like Larry Bird, who might have been the best that I've seen in years in college. Meanwhile, a turnover the other way, and all the way to the basket for the slam is Deion Brown.
Need more of those if you're Washington. Key the break with transitions, key the break with your defense.
Andy Russo up off the bench, wanted a foul, might have had a good case. Meanwhile, Bricky takes the baseline and is hammered from behind.
But Washington trying to play physical. They're trying to get up and take the challenge, trying to force Duke to put the ball on the ground. Don't let them pass it around. Don't let them make the guard-to-guard passes. And they're body checking a little bit. Mike Krzyzewski wants that called. He got up and told the officials they're on us a little bit.
Robert Bricky at the line, 2 shots.
So the numbers on Bricky, as you see, averaging just under 11 a game. 5 boards a game, gets the roll. Second one is up and good. 5 of 5 for Bricky now. There's Rakasner. Couldn't quite get it to go, but the Huskies getting fairly good penetration against the bigger Duke team.
He made that a difficult shot. He switched in midair with the left. Almost got it down.
Bricky leans in again, forced that shot, but underneath for a follow is Leitner, his second follow.
Well, you get him to put the ball on the ground, you get him to take a bad shot, but you do have to rebound the ball, and you've got some players watching. You need to go back, put a body on somebody, screen them out, and go get it off the board.
That's been one of the things that's plagued the Huskies. Another turnover, and here's Danny Ferry. Ferry brings it to the wing now. Makes a spin move, tries to get it over Deion Brown. Brown, a great athletic move to knock it out of bounds. Brown for the Huskies, rather the equivalent of Bricky for Duke, just in terms of athletic ability.
Yeah, he's very active, good jumper. Washington making some key turnovers, and Duke's got 4 early.
Abdelnaby has come on, and so has John Smith for Duke.
It's a deep club. I mean, they bring guys in that are pretty good. I mean, Smith's in double numbers. Abdelnaby, he doesn't miss any shots.
Ferry, fall-away jumper, tough shot.
Basket by Danny Ferry.
And he has 6.
I guess he doesn't come out a lot. Like, if you're going to sub, let's keep him in the game.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like, we don't want to know how good we're going to be without him. We got him. Let's play him. We'll take him out.
There's Brown, the cutter, with the right hand off the glass. Drew the foul. He'll go to the line.
Excellent pass that time. A back cut. Good pass. Good look. Taken in strong. Snyder wasn't there. Snyder trying to pick up the charge. Couldn't do it.
But I remember last year, Andy Russo, as Henderson comes back on, I remember Andy Russo last year telling us, hey, my best player is not playing this year, and that was Dion Brown, who did not play last year. And tonight he is showing some very good moves and substantiating exactly what Andy had said.
I think the one area when you look at the Huskies that they have to improve on in this game is rebounding. They've got to get to the boards. Too many second efforts. Another one coming up by Duke.
That's what has really plagued them. Ferry can't get it to go. Brown fights for the rebound, and a foul is going to be called on the Huskies.
Well, even on that rebound there, was Andy Russo not happy with the call. Brown was the only white shirt you saw around a basket. Everybody else was kind of moving down the court, and what they need to do is get 3 or 4 players. Let's go back and get it off, and they might have to send 5.
Yeah, that's what Andy was saying. Is he said, we really haven't been playing bad defense. We defense, then the ball goes up and misses. They get it back and have a gimme. And that's exactly what's happening again tonight. Ferry, nice pass to Abdelnabi. How do you like that one, Coach?
I like it. I guess that's why he doesn't miss many shots. Get it inside and just power dunk it over somebody. No weak side help right over the top.
Yeah, he's had 2 perfect games this year. He was 8 for 8 from the floor against the Citadel and 9 for 9 against East Carolina. Jeff Sainer in all kinds of traffic. And a reach in. That's a little bit of a ticky-tack foul there. Kubek is called for the foul.
Well, Mike really felt that he wanted his club to pick it up on defense. Let's go out and pressure the ball more. Let's force them to go to the basket. Let's force them to lob the ball on us by putting a lot of pressure. And the rebounds tell the story because Duke leading at 7-1. So the Huskies just haven't been able to get it off.
Here's Hayward. Ferry is in his face. Nice pass that time by Hayward to Sainer, and Sainer can't get the roll. West fights for the rebound. Pump fake. He can't get it to go. He tries it again. It won't go, but he drew the foul. So the Huskies go into the boards at the offensive end.
It's a little difficult, but when they get it down there, Abdelnabi's going to make you change the shot a little bit because West, with a couple of different efforts around the basket, nice pass that time by Hayward. Good look. That ball there was just deflected, almost deflected in the hoop. But here, West, Abdelnabi was there, and West knew it. He had to fade away with a difficult shot instead of jumping in a little bit and trying to draw the foul. And then they picked up the foul when West got the rebound.
2. Okay. 2.
So West has it to make it a 19-9 ball game.
See if Washington tries to go into some kind of full court press if they do score. Trying to upset them. A little difficult there, but almost good effort, though, by Brown. At least he's going after it.
Abdelnabi has the rebound, leaves it to Henderson. Henderson cross-court for Bricky back in the ball game after a short breather. Now up top for Smith. Bricky again to the baseline. Leaves for Abdelnabi, and he is undressed, but is called for the foul.
It looked like he took 2 steps. Took the one, put it together, and then went up for the shot. No one was guarding Henderson that time on the weak side. Henderson was all by himself. Here's a guy right here that has to get into it. Rick Hasner, number 5, has been their leading scorer. He's an excellent outside player. Another good pass. Back cut has been there. Got to make them.
I was just going to say, the Huskies really are getting good position. They're making the right passes. They're hitting the cutters, but the cutters aren't putting the ball down. Here's Bricky, gets into the paint, floats up with the right hand, fights for the rebound, can't get it. Comes down to Sainer. 3-on-1 for the Huskies now. Sainer in the middle, leads for Brown to the basket, gets the roll. He's fouled to go to the line. Henderson guilty of the foul. And Brown has been pretty much a one-man game.
Now, he made a difficult shot that time. On a transition, Sainer waited for him, made the steal. Now, Sainer trying to slow down, saying, do I have any help? He sees Brown, who's really close to him, maybe a little too close. And Brown makes a circus shot with the right hand. Now they get Ferry out of the game. He's maybe a little shot to come back at him now, but Henderson picks up his 3rd. They still got a big team in there. I mean, even with Ferry out of there, they're still not too bad with Abdelnabi, and you got Leitner and Smith. 6'10", 6'10", about 6'8". So.
Once again, Coach K indicating that they're a pretty darn good team even without Ferry in there. Ferry just makes them that much better.
Well, what did he say today? He says, yeah, my wife always asks that question. She goes, how good would we be without Ferry? And he goes, well, don't worry about it. We got him. We don't have to worry about that. Let's just worry about how good we're going to be with him.
There's Quinn Snyder now back in the ballgame. Up for Bricky. Swinging around now. Jumper outside Smith. It won't go. Long rebound out for Leitner. So once again, another offensive rebound for Duke. Bricky for Leitner underneath. He got Brown in the air, put it up, and drew the foul.
Probably should count, too. They haven't really given a motion, but it looked like he was fouled in the act.
Washington foul.
Did it go in? Maybe I missed it. Okay, get in the game, Dan. Ball didn't go in.
Lautenbach comes in now for the Washington Huskies. Todd Lautenbach, the biggest player on the Huskies, at 6'10", and has actually played pretty well in a couple of very embarrassing losses that the Huskies had down in Arizona. Lautenbach was the one bright spot for Andy Russo.
Yeah, in fact, Lautenbach's been his best player. He said he's really played well the last 3 or 4 games.
He had been starting him, as a matter of fact, coming into tonight's game, but I think he felt he needed a little bit more quickness, and Mark West gave him that. Now he's got both West and Lautner in the ball game when we come back after this. Begins with Dan Belwamini, 21-12 ball game, Duke leading. We were saying when we were away that it's not so much that Washington is playing so poorly, it's just that Duke is just that good.
They're just a big, strong, powerful team that doesn't make many mistakes, and they can beat you in a lot of different ways. But I really think the key to this club, again, is you've got to get the ball for the Huskies, get it in the hands. Bricky
one-on-one, and he drew the foul, did Sainer. So Sainer got the plant foot down, and Bricky was going to the hoop. There was no question about it.
Again, Duke on a transition that time. Bricky now, was he set? Was his feet planted?
They were together.
I don't know, kind of together. Maybe you get a little bit of movement. Oh, you're on the road. You're not going to get that call. This guy right here has got to get into it now. Kastner with the ball. Let's do something with it. Let's run your stuff. Hayward hasn't scored. Right there. Shoot it. Shoot it.
Three-point try for Hayward. A little bit short. Hayward gets it back. Mark West. Pump fake. Huskies just kind of undecided on their shot selection. Here's Bricky. Bricky takes it to the hoop. No problem. So the Huskies missed 2 shots and then didn't get back.
Nice job by Bricky to avoid the charge that time. He knew where the defender was and slid off to the side to get the easy hoop.
There's Sainer outside. He's another streak shooter for the Washington Huskies. A lot of the Huskies are, and unfortunately, they've all gone bad at the same time.
Duke looks like they're in a little matchup now. They're trying to switch it. They're not following people through. There's another long jumper. He can do that. You need to get, Leitner's got to get the hand up on him because Hayward can make that shot.
And we'll see how long now Coach K keeps Danny Ferry on the bench, because Ferry will come outside. Hayward 1 of 3 now from 3-point range. An errant pass, one of the few that you will see on this Duke team, and now here comes Ferry back in. Hayward has been having his shooting woes, as we mentioned, and now all of a sudden he tries to get out of them by having Danny Ferry in your face. How would you like to do that?
I think he liked the matchup better when Leitner was on him, because he likes to get those big guys outside. He doesn't want anybody mobile on him like a Ferry or Kubek, because they're going to play right up on him, and he plays much better away from the basket than he does around the basket.
Another turnover. Leitner leaves for Snyder. 2-on-1 now. Leaves beautifully for Smith to the basket. Abdelnaby, I beg your pardon. It was Abdelnaby, not Smith.
Sort of an emphatic transition on the dead run. One-handed grab the bottom of the board dunk. I like that one.
Hayward puts it up again, a little bit hard. Abdelnaby has the rebound. Outlet to Kubek. Kubek leaves it for Snyder now. Here's Danny Ferry. He'll try the three-pointer. That's not a good shot. Gets nothing. Sainer comes down now for the Huskies. Huskies 4-on-2. Sainer to the basket. And an offensive foul. Sainer had his choice that time.
They want the basket, but I don't think so. It looked like the contact happened before the shot left his hand.
Jeff Sainer, it is first personal. The 6th team foul on the Huskies.
And he doesn't like it, but that's a smart play by Snyder. I think if he pulls up and he slows down Barry and he just goes ahead and shoots the 4-footer, he's got 2 people to rebound. Didn't make a good decision that time.
Well, one thing that Duke does, they run off a missed shot too much, but off a turnover, that's when they like to run. And, Danny, if you look at some of the numbers, they will just tell you everything you need to know about that.
Yeah, with 13 points off of turnovers, Mike Krzyzewski really has to like that number. There's another block by Leitner, who's been all over the place. He's done it inside and with his defense. Good pass.
That's a freshman, remember. Kubek to the basket. He's got it. And Andy Russo is berserk right now. He wanted an offensive foul there, and Andy is just beside himself.
They're back to their 2-3 matchup, trying not to go through. Let's see if they go through.
Here's Hayward, tries to fire it in to West. West was fronted by Abdelnaby. And I'll tell you, Andy Russo is just absolutely livid. His wife is a dentist, and I'll tell you, she may have to remove his teeth from his gums because he's gnashing them that much right now. Inbounds pass to West off the hands of Snyder.
Oh, they're really trying to get the ball inside, but not successful. Obviously looking around the basket.
Snyder. How about that pass? Buried on a cutter, Kubek. Just perfect.
Timeout. Timeout, guys.
And timeout may not be enough. It's 29-15. Duke is putting on a clinic.
The Washington Huskies are trying to get the ball around the basket, but deflections and good defense by the Blue Devils have stopped them. But this guy right here, Danny Ferry, he can not only score, but he makes a tremendous pass to Kubek in the open court for an easy basket. They've done so much of that in the first half, and that's why they enjoy a 14-point lead.
Kasner, off-balance jumper. He's 0 for 3. He's gone for the hat trick. Ferry has the rebound. Ferry's line, 6 points, 3 assists. Forced a couple of turnovers. And now has 4 rebounds. And we're just past the halfway point in the first half.
Get a turnover that time on a transition by the Blue Devils. Duke with a lot of turnovers so far in the first half, and got 10 turnovers and you lead by 14.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. When you get your game going, you can be tough. Hayward.
Hayward's got to take a look more.
Well, Hayward's the only Husky who's really doing it. He's scoring. Deion Brown has 9, but those were mostly on triples.
Freshman of the year in the Pac-10 last year, and he needs to carry the scoring load along with Brown and Rakasner. Rakasner's been very quiet for the Huskies.
Here's Kubek. He'll shoot it. 3-point try. A little bit short that time. Hayward fights for the rebound, can't control it, but finally does to Lautenbach.
You know, one thing scary about this, Barry, is that Blue Devils, Duke really hasn't shot the ball well from the outside. They've made most of their baskets, on the transition and around the hoop, but they haven't shot well on the perimeter. That's a carry.
Sainer turns it over. John Smith back in the ball game now for the Duke Blue Devils.
He's calling a special play.
So right now for the Blue Devils, it's Kubek, Snyder, Smith, Abdelnaby, and Ferry.
This special play is going to end up with Ferry. How's that for a great call? I mean, like every time down, give it to him.
Kubek thinks about it, but doesn't. Now gives it back up top for Smith. Snyder will take it. Won't go. A little bit hard. Abdelnaby the follow. Perfect position that time by Allah Abdelnaby. And he's perfect on the night.
He made a fine tip. And he just, with one hand reaching around. Good defense by Duke. They're anticipating. They're trying to pressure. And they're just long-range switching everything. Everything's a long-range switch.
Hayward has another three-pointer. So Hayward's starting to do his part here. He's got 8.
Of course, if you're going to get in that 2-3 matchup, you better stay constant with Hayward.
Abdelnaby got backdoor. Lautenbach jumped all over it. And a good pass that time by Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder, incidentally, his family bought 60 tickets for this game tonight.
Of course, Quinn grew up in the area from Mercer Island. And a lot of people say if he didn't go to Duke, he would have came right here to Washington. Of course, that's not, the ifs and the wins and horseshoes and darts, right?
That's right.
That's the only time that counts. And hand grenades. That's the only time that counts.
Abdelnaby will go to the line now. He's got 6 points.
Oh, you got to cut him. He missed one. I mean, the guy missed a shot. You got to get him out.
Kasner might have turned it over. No, he drew a foul first. Snyder guilty of fouling Eldridge Rakasner.
Rakasner feeling the heat a little bit, trying to make something happen, trying to get himself off. has gone through the first 14 minutes and hasn't scored. And he's really the guy that they look to. He's their leading scorer last year. Made the all Pac-10 team. Good player.
Doesn't seem to be handling the ball nearly as much as he did
Not
last
seeming
year.
to get very many shots. Of course, they're trying to get the ball inside, but he has got nothing on the transition. He's not been able to get any perimeter stuff going.
That is his first point, as you can see, and he's averaging over 16 points a game. So Huskies are going to have to get more production out of Eldridge Ricasner. So far, it's Deion Brown and Mike Hayward who are carrying the Huskies. And Brown has been on the bench for the last 3-4 minutes.
I think Washington's going to try to show a little zone this time, trying to switch the defense.
Ricky steps in. Now he leaves it for Ferry, and Ferry draws a foul on Mark West.
Well, you're trying to go in a little zone defense to force some outside shooting. Instead, they put it right on the ground and go right by you to the basket. Of course, Laudenbach comes from the help that leaves Ferry all alone, and they dish it off. So if you're going to go to that defense, you try to contain and not allow any interior penetration.
Call the foul on Mike Hayward, incidentally, not Mark West. And Danny Ferry missed one, much to the delight of the fans here at Heckhead.
They're such a great outside shooting team that Duke is, and really they're shooting 58% as a team from the floor. They're not a particularly good free throw shooting team. They're at 66, 67%, which is okay, but you're not going to be in the top 20 in the country with that number.
Here's Ricasner. Ricasner comes behind a double screen, pulls up at the baseline, and got it.
Hey, he needed that. Get him going a little bit, give him a little confidence.
1 out of 4 from the field for Eldridge Ricasner. Leitner waits for help and gets it from Bricky. Now they get the ball into Snyder's hands. That's where they'd like to have it. Crowd's starting to get into this game a little bit now. Ferry leaves it nicely for Leitner, who falls away and is hammered from behind.
Now, Ferry does know where everybody is. I mean, the guy really has good eyes. He's got the ability to see the floor. And he really is an asset for Leitner. Leitner only a freshman, but what an advantage to play with Ferry. He's a guy that will get you the ball. All Leitner's got to do is get good position because he knows it's coming, and keep the hands up so you don't get hit in the head. I mean, that's true. When you play with good passers, you'd better keep your hands ready, because if you're not ready, they're going to fool you sometimes, and you get embarrassed, and it clonks right off your head.
Well, Leitner missed the first free throw, and he'll have another. And he gets it, and it's Duke by 9. 7 for the freshman Leitner, coming off a 20-point performance against Cornell.
Now straight man-to-man by Duke. They were in their matchup. Now they're going to go man-to-man where Kasner could get off a little bit.
And it goes to Lautenbach. Turnaround jumper won't go. Rebound down to Bricky.
A lot of blues on the boards that time. Not many white shirts.
Here's Ferry, the open jumper. Won't go. A little bit hard. Sainer the rebound. Lob pass. Lucky to come down to the hands of Lautenbach.
Oh, you don't think they were trying to get him the ball in the middle? Trying to get Lautenbach to lead the break. He did a pretty good job that time. He caught it and bounced it without turning it over. I mean, what more do you want from the 6'10 guy?
Here's Hayward. Forces it into Lautenbach. There's another turnover. Leitner comes away with it. Leaves it for Snyder. Now ahead to Ferry. Ferry worked on by the smaller Sainer. Back for Quinn Snyder. And right to the basket to Leitner. And Leitner draws the foul on Lautenbach from behind.
Leitner's relentless in there. I mean, he just gets the ball. He positions himself, does not play like a freshman. Lautenbach picks up his second foul. Snyder with the good look. They're looking around the basket. Leitner takes it in and is bumped with the body by Todd Lautenbach.
And Andy Russo will go with Barry Howard now. Howard, another one of those streaky players, replacing Mike Hayward. So somebody is going to have to pick up the scoring slack now with Hayward on the bench and Deion Brown on the bench as well.
Well, your outside guys now become Sainer and Ricasner if you're the Huskies.
Brown, of course, on the bench with 3 fouls. And Andy Russo, I'm quite sure, will have him sit there a little bit longer.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he's going to be out the whole half. And what Andy's hoping is his club can get inside of 10. You know, they're down 11 right now, but if they can get it to 7 or 8 and get Brown back in the game in the second half, you know, he might see a little glimmer of hope.
So Ricasner worked on by Quinn Snyder. And Ricasner is going to have to carry the load here offensively for a little bit with Hayward and Brown on the bench. Now Howard, good shooter, but not a great shooter. Ricasner between the circles.
tough to make a guard-to-guard pass. I mean, they're having a hard time just passing the ball.
There's Lautenbach on a high post travel.
Well, I think we really got to credit the Duke defense there, because they just don't allow you to make that guard-to-guard pass very easily. Instead, you look inside and do something you don't really want to do and give Lautenbach the ball at the top around the foul line area. You know, he's not used to handling it there, and he turns it over. Good D by the Blue Devils.
Here's Ferry for Snyder. Snyder, three-point try. A little short with that, but there are two Blue Devils fighting for the ball. And as a result, it's a traveling violation. I guess if you got to have a traveling violation, though, any coach would rather see one like that.
The long-range jumper, but look at the blue shirts around the ball. Now, that's the kind you like if you're, you know, the only thing that Mike Krzyzewski was saying to his club, let's run the offense a little more. We don't have to come down and shoot the long-range jumper. Let's get it around the basket sometimes.
Snyder, the only Blue Devil not shooting over 50%, 0 for 3 tonight, too, playing before the home folk. Sainer, three-point try off the left side, won't go. Ferry the rebound.
Oh, I thought he might have pushed off and got away with it that time. West wanted a foul, but Ferry with a decisive rebound.
Pass a little tall for Bricky, and so the Blue Devils have turned it over more times than I'm sure Coach K would like to see tonight. Nevertheless, they lead it by 11. We'll be back. Barry Tompkins with Dan Belomini back in Seattle. Duke leads the Huskies 35-24, but I tell you, if you were eavesdropping as we were on the Duke huddle during that timeout, you would never know they were leading by 11 points. Coach K, not all that pleased.
No, he's not really happy the way his club is playing, but I really think Ferry so far has done a pretty good job. I mean, he's lived up to the billing. He's handled the ball. He's passed the ball well, and he shot it pretty well. So they just need to do a better job when they come down the floor to get into their offense and not make as many turnovers.
Yeah, they've turned the ball over 12 times. That's uncharacteristic of this Blue Devil team, and Mike Krzyzewski would like to see that cease and desist right now. But they are shooting it almost as good as they have been shooting it all year.
Yeah, they're shooting 50%. Most of those around the basket. The Huskies at 39%, and that's up from what they were when they started the game.
Huskies 9 of 23, 39%. And of course, if they're to have any chance whatsoever in this ball game, they're going to have to shoot it better than that. Mike Hayward prepares to come back in now for the Washington Huskies. Lautenbach at the line.
Leitner went out for Duke, and Abdelnaby came in. Abdelnaby only a junior. Leitner a freshman. They got this team is, you know, the cupboard's not bare when Ferry goes away.
Hardly.
I mean, they're going to be pretty good. And I'm sure they'll recruit one or two players.
Talking with one of the great minds of the sport of basketball just a little bit ago, Pete Newell, who's here watching the game tonight. He said that Leitner has the potential to possibly be as good a player as Danny Ferry, and that is saying a whole lot. Snyder for Bricky, but one of the Huskies got a hand on that. And another turnover.
It just seems though every time that Duke gets into their offense and runs something effectively, they get a good shot. The turnovers have kept the Huskies in the game, and now the crowd trying to get back in it. I think a hoop here will get them in it.
Hayward tried to force it in again to Sainer, and he drew a foul on Quinn Snyder. Snyder's having a tough game. He's 0 for 3 from the floor. He's turned it over 3 times, and he has 2 fouls.
Sometimes it's difficult coming back home to play. You want to play. You want to do so well in front of the home folk that you just don't come out and do the things that you normally do effectively. And now Mike Krzyzewski's going to take Snyder out of the game. He's got a very big team in there now.
Kubek has come on now, replacing Quinn Snyder.
Now his outside guys become Smith, Bricky, and Kubek.
Just make that one correction. We said 2 fouls on Snyder, and it is, in fact, 3 fouls.
Yeah, I thought he had one early, and it did go up 2 at first, and I thought that might have been a mistake, and he does pick up 3, and, of course, Mike Krzyzewski wanted to get him out of the game. You don't want him to get 4. And they do kind of sneaking back in this game. I mean, this was like 14-15 down and going to 20, and the turnovers have brought them back.
The Blue Devils have let the crowd back in the game, too. Bricky now for Kubek. 2:35 remaining in the half. Kubek looks into Abdelnaby. And a foul called underneath. I think on Lautenbach, but I'm not certain.
Washington foul.
Yeah, it did look like it was Lautenbach. No, it wasn't Lautenbach.
I think it was Howard who drew the foul.
Yeah, Barry Howard. concerted effort that time by Duke, though, to get the ball around the basket.
So, Abdulnabi goes back to the line. I'll tell you, if this guy run Wheel of Fortune, you could go broke spelling his name.
Oh, you got Krzyzewski, you got Abdulnabi.
Yeah, but you got to buy vowels. Remember?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You got to buy vowels. Yeah. Are there any A's? Yeah, there's some A's. We got some A's.
Yeah, that's right. Howard saves it, but saves it for Bricky, and another turnover. Bricky leaned in, offensive foul. No question about that one. Rukasner definitely did get the leg down.
Smart move by Rukasner that time, and no basket. The contact occurred first. Richie Ballesteros right on the goal. Bricky trying to take it in. Rukasner says, I'm going to get position. No question, the shot occurred after the contact. No basket.
Here's Rukasner. Leaves it now for Hayward. Back up top for Sainer. Huskies run a set play. Sainer almost turned it over again. Very close to a turnover.
Well, that was really flirting with disaster there. They may even get a hoop. How many near misses?
And a Sainer finally gets it.
And a score. Come on now.
Not very pretty.
That's not going in the highlight film.
No.
Kick it off your knee 3 times, get it in the corner and score, and they're only down 5.
Suddenly a 5-point game. Sainer goes for the ball and can't get it. Ferry has it. Cross-court Kubek. And another Blue Devil turnover. And now there is definitely some concern on the Blue Devil bench. Well, remember last year, in fact, it was a year ago tonight here on ESPN, you did the game between Washington and Kansas, and the Huskies played the team that was going to go on and win the national championship pretty tough on that night.
Yeah, well, they sure did. In fact, they were ahead 14-15 early, and Kansas came back to beat them. Look at this. Hello.
Hayward can't quite get it. Fight for the rebound. Hayward over the top. Check that. Howard over the top, not Hayward.
Just too many turnovers by Duke as Mike Hayward thought he had that. I thought he had it. He shot it and went away, and that time Howard over the back. Smith will get an opportunity at a one-on-one. You need to make your free throws the last minute and a half of the game, of the first half, rather. Critical part of the game.
Smith just about a 70% free throw shooter. What Duke has done, though, is let this partisan crowd into the game. Now the Blue Devils managed to quiet the crowd, with Smith converting that front end of a one-and-one. But in the last 2 minutes, the Huskies on an 8-1 run.
And I'm sure Andy Russo says, look, if we can go down 6-7, get our starters back in the game, get Dion Brown, who was his leading scorer but has 3 fouls, we might be in pretty good shape. At least our guys may get the feeling that we can beat these guys.
Gets them both, and it's a 7-point game. Crowd reacting to the score of an NBA game between the Sonics and the Lakers. The Sonics beat the Lakers tonight just down the road, also here in Seattle. Stepping in front, intercepting nicely is Davis in the ball game now for the Blue Devils. That's Brian Davis, another freshman out of Bladenburg, Maryland.
Now they're going to have Ferry play the point, get him outside.
Kubek three-pointer, won't go. Davis there for the rebound. Another offensive rebound and a traveling violation. That's the right call. Willis McJunkin right there.
I thought that was good position by Mike Hayward. Held the hands up. Verticality, no call. And Mike Krzyzewski saying, wait, we knew there was a foul there. I don't know about a jump ball.
That was a good
He wanted
call.
to jump because he thought maybe they'd get the arrow on the possession instead of a travel.
Here's Rukasner, gets into the paint, leaves it. Foul call, reach again on Davis. So Eldridge Rukasner will go to the line now, and Rukasner pretty good at the free throw line.
Brian Davis, his first personal.
Probably one of their better free throw shooters. I think he's around 74.5%. So with 45 seconds to go in the first half, Andy Russo's got a chance to cut this 7-point lead, get it down to 4 or 5 probably, and then try to play some good defense.
It's going to be a real test of character for this Washington team now. About a week ago down at Arizona State, Arizona blew them out. They were never in the ball game there, but at Arizona State it was a 5-point game at halftime, and they wound up losing it by 30.
In fact, it was a game they were up 10 in the first half and ended up losing big. So this is what you call a gut check. if you can come back, and they have, down 5 after being down as many as 14. And now trying to play some good defense. I'm sure the Blue Devils trying to play for the last shot, saying at least let's go in 5 up and maybe 7 or 8.
Davis outside now, Ferry. And the Huskies won't jump out at him, so Ferry can just hold it out here.
I'm sure they're going to try to look to shoot it with 6 seconds to go. Try to give them time to tip it in. Get their better players with the ball. Try to get it in Ferry's hands.
This is Davis, the freshman. I would think Coach K would not want him to have it. Here's Kubak. Tries to go backdoor for Abdelnabi. Now the Huskies have a chance. They travel. Rakasner traveled. And so with 3 seconds left, the Blue Devils will have one last chance.
Mike Krzyzewski going to make a key substitute, try to get some shooters in the game. Going to bring Henderson back, even though he's got players with fouls. Snyder going to try to get some outside shooters to try to inbound it quick. Washington better match up, go a little man-to-man right now, not give them anything easy.
Abdelnabi for Ferry. Nice play by Abdelnabi, and Ferry nails it at the buzzer. And those are the kinds of things, frankly, you expect of the #1 ranked team in the country. Danny Ferry now with 10 points, knocks down a 3-pointer at the buzzer. Look at it. It couldn't have been any better executed. Take another look at this one, Dan.
Well, the one thing you didn't want to happen if you were the Huskies was trying to give him a shot at the button. Nobody picks up Ferry. That time they did a good job on everybody else, but they forgot Ferry, and he just kind of wanders in bounds and drills it.
And Abdelnabi gave him a good pass. 19 points off of turnovers for Duke. That is the difference. Let's go to John Saunders.
Who are standing by with the second half in Seattle. Duke against the Washington Huskies, and the Huskies have some work to do. Gentlemen.
All right, thanks very much, John. And you said it. Danny Ferry's 3-point shot right at the buzzer, really even bigger than it looked to be, because it threw it from a 5-point game to an 8-point game, and that's really a major difference.
Well, and they made the turnover and didn't get the opportunity to get it in the open court, and Duke had the ball out of bounds, and no one was guarding Danny Ferry, the one guy you'd think you'd want to be on, and a little mental lapse, and it's a big play if you're the Huskies, and a nice little cushion if you're Duke.
I'm sure Mike Krzyzewski really was not too pleased with the play of his team in the first half, even though they lead it by 8 points. They turned it over 17 times, and they only average 18 turnovers a game.
Yeah, this is not a club really that turns it over that many times, and when you look at 17 in one half, that really allowed the Huskies to get back in the game because Duke had them down 14-15 early. The rebounds, they did a nice job of dominating on the boards, and they did get 18 free throws to 12 for the Huskies and had a decent shooting percentage. Washington, on the other hand, 40's not real good, but they started slow, and that looks pretty good if you're Andy Russo because they were shooting around 15-18% early in the game.
But you have an idea they're going to have to shoot at about 60% in the second half, really, to be given a legitimate chance against this Duke team.
Well, not only are they going to have to shoot it better, I think they're going to have to rebound the ball better. Those are the two areas where I'm sure Andy Russo's trying to emphasize at halftime.
So let's take a look at the storyline then, and here's the way it was in the first half and really what needs to be done in the second half. The 19 points off of Washington's turnovers, really a big factor. Now, both teams actually turned it over too much, but Duke scored off the turnover.
Yeah, that's the big factor is Duke was able to get it in the open court and get their transitions going and score. And on the other hand, their front line really did an excellent job. And I really think Leitner's an excellent player around a basket, and Ferry shot it from the outside.
And Deion Brown, as you saw, 9 points in 8 minutes. That's the good news. The bad news is he also had 3 fouls. They're going to have to get more time out of him. We'll be back.
Is brought to you by the makers of Campbell's Chunky Soup. It takes care of the meanest appetites. By new Right Guard Sports Stick from Gillette. Antiperspirant and deodorant. Anything less would be uncivilized. And by Konica Copiers. They work as hard as you do.
So it's an 8-point ball game here in Seattle, thanks to Danny Ferry's 3-point shot at the buzzer. The Blue Devils, despite all the turnovers, leading the Washington Huskies by 8. Leading scorers in the game so far. Well, who do you suppose? Danny Ferry with 10. Leitner, the freshman, with 9 points, and Abdelnabi, 6 points all around the basket. And those, of course, the 3 big guys for Duke, both figuratively and literally. Scoring leaders for the Huskies, Deion Brown with 9 points. Remember, that's 9 points in 8 minutes. Hayward struggled for his 8 points, but he'll have to contribute at least that much in the second half, and I would have to think, Dan, they're going to have to get a little bit more offensively out of Eldridge Rakasner in the second half.
Well, he gave them nothing really offensively for the first 14 minutes, and then he came back nicely and got a couple of hoops and a free throw to get him back going again, but Rakasner is looking for a big second half. The one thing Duke has to be a little cautious of, they've got 3 players with 3 fouls. So you've got Snyder, Henderson, and Bricky with 3 apiece out there, and those are outside players. Kubek's the only other outside guy, really, that they play a lot. So if those people go down, look for Ferry maybe to go outside and get a real big team in the game.
And, of course, Duke also has to worry about turnovers. They cut the turnovers down, and they should win this game handily because they're ahead by 8 with the turnovers. Nice pass from Snyder to Leitner for the basket.
Seen a lot of that in the first half. Good pass from the outside. Quinn Snyder picks him up inside. Leitner knows what to do with it when he gets it.
Here's where Kasner comes behind Hayward screen. Now for West. Sainer getting a start here in the second half. Jumper outside by Kasner. It won't go. Long rebound, and Hayward controls it for the Huskies. With Danny Ferry in his face. Sainer gets into the paint, gives it up nicely for West. That's not his range, but he makes it.
West trying to step outside, draw the big guy out there, and drills the jumper.
Here's Henderson. Henderson gets into the paint, picked clean by Kasner. 3-on-1 now, but Brown will wait for help.
Need to have patience and run it a little bit. That was a tough shot.
And a gimme rebound for Dion Brown.
They do need Brown in the game. I mean, he just is a guy that hangs around, good athlete around a basket, 6'5", but he plays about 6'7" or 8.
Very aggressive player. Really showing the potential that Andy Russo felt last year that he had. Here's Snyder. Henderson the jumper outside three-pointer.
Three-point shot.
And I don't really think that Duke had a tremendous outside shooting first half. Most of their points were all around the basket. Ferry made the three-pointer at the end, and then he hit a two-pointer before, but that's one of the few outside shots they've hit.
Here's Sainer again with good penetration. Hangs in the air, but is a little bit short with the shot, and Ferry has the rebound. Quick outlet to Snyder. And ahead off the beautiful pass from Snyder is Bricky for the jam.
Got to get back that time. What a pass by Snyder.
2-on-4 that time, and Snyder with a perfect bounce pass to Bricky.
Threaded the needle. Look ahead. The only way that could have gone was on the ground, and he put it perfectly in Bricky's hands. Bricky knew they know how to finish the break. I mean, that's about the 4th dunk they've had.
There's Hayward for Sainer now. Kasner up top. Underneath it goes for West. Worked on by Leitner, and he's just got West's attention, and West got the rebound and couldn't make it back. Leitner just got West's attention with that first effort. Henderson puts it on the floor. Now he leaves it for Ferry. Ferry guarded by the smaller Brown.
Good decision now. Let's back it up. They're in the zone. Let's run it.
Bricky cross-court for Henderson. Henderson was a little bit too deep.
Another turnover.
Kasner now, and there's another turnover the other way. And it's Leitner for Snyder. 2-on-2 to Henderson. Pulls up. Offensive foul. Hayward at position.
Well, you know one thing for sure. Every time you take it in and somebody steps in front, it's going to be a position foul. And that's going to be the 4th foul on Henderson after hitting the three-pointer. They need him in the game. He kind of had a hot streak going, and there's the call there. They have been fairly consistent with that call. Every time somebody stepped there, they've gotten the call.
Kubek comes on to replace Henderson now. Blue Devils lead it by 11. With the ball now is Eldridge Kasner. Leaves it for Jeff Sainer. Sainer, a very streaky shooter. If he gets on a roll, he can give just about anybody a problem. Sainer on the floor. Now he leaves it for Brown. How do you like that?
I like it.
360.
I mean, let's acrobatic reverse dunk it. He said, I can't do it frontwards. I'm doing it backwards.
That wakes the crowd up. That woke the country up. Bricky, a jumper outside, in and out. Hayward the rebound.
Give it to Brown again. He's hot.
Here's Sainer. Brown will be the prime-time player tonight. Another turnover by the Huskies. Snyder controls it now for the Blue Devils. Here's Ferry. Underneath it goes to Kubek to the basket for the easy layup. And you got to credit Danny Ferry with that one.
Sure do. Duke loves to run the baseline, and they're looking right away. Ferry gets it and just dumps it in.
Kasner leaves it for West, who puts it on the floor, comes across the paint, throws it in off the glass. So both teams lighten it up here.
Oh, got back up again. Slipped, fell down, kept going, got back up, kept his dribble. Ooh, Ferry wanted it.
Oh,
hey, look,
wanted it.
Nobody's guarding it. Throw me.
Snyder tries the three-pointer, won't go. And West with good position on Leitner that time for the rebound. Huskies can cut to 7 or 6.
And they may sag it in there more, Barry, because they're not shooting the outside jumper. That's the 4th and 5th one that Snyder's missed.
West, though, with the hot hand right now.
I think you got to sag off of Snyder and force him to make a shot. I mean, why guard him out there? Get back in the zone and back off a little bit. Clog it up in there.
West with 8 points here in the second half. Ferry working on West. Takes advantage of the size. And the rebound controlled by Hayward. Quick outlet for Casner. 3-on-1 if they hurry. Here's Brown on the wing. Couldn't get the roll. Good position that time by Snyder. So the Huskies waste a 3-on-1 and back the other way. Huskies don't get back on defense, and the Blue Devils will exploit that every possibility.
Excellent passing team. One more pass. That's what they're looking for.
West couldn't get it to fall. Got the shot out. They'll go to the line for 2.
Washington certainly have a chance to get the ball around the basket more than they did in the first half. Trying to take advantage of it. Leitner picks up his second foul. They got a little foul problem. I mean, they got people with one person with 4, a couple with 3. They're going to get Bricky out of the game.
And Leitner also leaves. Mark West goes to the line. Abdul Nabi has come back on. And so too has Smith.
West was quiet in the first half, only had 3. He's picked up 7 points in the first 5.5 minutes of the second half.
Beg your pardon, I said Smith came back on. He did not. It is Kubek, Snyder, Abdul Nabi, Ferry. And we'll jump off the track and take a commercial break. Duke leads it by 7.
It's really worked for the Huskies has been a guy by the name of Deion Brown, and he makes kind of a reverse spinner over his head dunk to excite the crowd and get the Huskies right back in this one.
Snyder, meanwhile, leaves it for Smith, who throws it in. 3-point shot.
Smith, one of the real fine outside shooters on this club, though, comes right off the bench and drills one.
Hussein now leaves it for Brown. Brown playing with 3 fouls, remember?
Barry trying to take the defensive challenge on Brown.
Casney working on Snyder, took him to the baseline, now gives it back up for West. Huskies being a little more patient now. Here's McCasney. Deion Brown. Now it's McCasner to the basket with the right hand. Foul called. And Eldridge McCasner will go to the line for 2.
Duke trying to pressure the ball so much that they're creating some lanes for the Huskies to drive. If they can handle it and not turn it over, they can take it in strong. Looked like if that was on, was that foul on Snyder?
4th personal foul on Quinn Snyder, and Henderson, who has already got 4 fouls, comes back on to replace him. So Duke in the backcourt now with some problems. Kasner converts, and it is a 54-45 ball game.
They try to zone it up again. Better get to Smith, though. Made the last jumper.
Henderson, they leave Smith open. Here he is. And he's got another one. Exactly as you said. Somebody's going to have to jump out at him.
Very smart, though. He knew Smith made the last jumper. He was looking for him again. He gets the ball at the post, and he just pitches the ball to the open man.
Here's Brown, guarded by Kubek. Now with Kasner. Kasner got Smith in the air. Now Sainer between the circles. Hayward in the corner. He'll try it. 3-pointer. In and out, won't go. Rebound fought for by Sainer. Off his hands, it'll be Duke's ball.
They're going to have to extend a little bit, see if they stay in the zone. They're going to try to extend, play some man-to-man now. Hard to stay in that zone when Smith is out there drilling 3-pointers and Ferry's such a tremendous passer.
This time Smith runs into Hayward. Offensive foul. That wasn't a smart foul. Hayward clearly with position that time.
turnover was the only thing that really kept Washington in this game. If Duke doesn't turn it over, they're on a pace of about 25, 76 or 7 for this game.
That's true. They average 18, just 18 and change. Brown with penetration, tried to leave it for West. Sainer gets it. There's Brown. He can't get it. Tries it again. It won't go. And once more. So the third time is the charm for Brown.
Just keep jumping. If you don't get it, get your own rebound. Jump up again, and tip it in. Get a lot of offensive rebound, a lot of stats.
15 for Brown. Abdelnabi jump hook.
Somebody's got to introduce themselves to Abdelnabi that time because he's just kind of wandering around under there with no one guarding him.
By Kubek. Comes behind a Hayward pick now for Brown. Sainer again leaves it for Hayward now. Hayward takes the baseline, pulls up, forced that, went nowhere. Abdelnabi got it. And ahead to Ferry to the basket. He drew the foul.
Good look, though, by Henderson that time up the floor. Ferry called for it. I'm surprised he missed it. That's not one he's going to miss very often. And Hayward picks up his second foul. Good look ahead this time by Henderson. Ferry's calling for the ball. He had his arm up. Plants, draws, and probably disappointed with himself for not putting it away, but he'll get an opportunity to shoot a couple of free throws. Except for a couple of turnovers, I think Duke has scored every time down the floor. I mean, the Huskies just haven't been able to stop him.
And Lautenbach comes on now for Mark West. West, offensively at least, has had a big second half for Washington. Danny Ferry will have another. Blue Devils by 12, but it's been a struggling kind of 12. Ferry missed them both, and Hayward gets the rebound. Outlet to Rakasny.
I think it's a key part of the game for Washington. They need to balance. They need to score. They can't afford to let Duke run out to a 17, 18-point lead. That's a foul. Might be offensive. Now they're going to get a travel.
Travel before the foul. Lautenbach, I think, did move the pivot foot. Timeout on the floor. Duke leads it by 12.
Danny Ferry, multi-dimensional. Not only can shoot, but he's a tremendous passer. He finds the open man who had just made a three-pointer prior to this. John Smith hits another one. It's not a bad quote.
No, it's not. That's putting Danny Ferry in some very good company. Meanwhile, Henderson to the basket, misses it, and Lautenbach has the rebound for the Huskies.
Anytime you're in the company of Bill Bradley or Larry Bird as a passer, you got to be some kind of a player.
I forget what player it was that was talking about how they mention him and Larry Bird in the same breath. They say, yeah, he's no Larry Bird. Here's Sainer with a jumper outside, three-pointer.
Of course, Sainer, an excellent perimeter player, and the Huskies needed something to happen. And they got a three, and they're down 9.
Ferry turnaround jumper, and he makes amends for the cripple that he missed a moment ago.
Of course, when you're guarded by Brown at 6'5", Ferry taking advantage of it, posting up, going down low and just shooting the jumper right over him.
Ferry 5 of 9 from the floor now. 3 of 6 from the free throw line. He's got 14. Kasner underneath to Hayward. Turnaround jumper. Forced that shot. Couldn't get a break on it. The rebound comes down to Kubek. Outlet Ferry. Ferry will wait for help. They tried to get Ferry matched up with Deion Brown, but the Huskies defended it well. They have a 3-on-2 if they hurry now. Rakasner in the middle, might have overpassed it.
I thought Rakasner had the shot, and I thought Sander could have taken it in that time.
Now Rakasner a three-point try, and it won't go. So the Huskies blow it on 2 occasions.
They passed up a 5-footer to shoot an 18-footer and missed it. Just cannot give Duke, nor any good team, that many opportunities. They're going to get a foul over the back on Deion Brown, his 4th. Well, he went a long way, Barry, without picking up the 4th.
Yeah, he did. And Ferry now, as you pointed out a couple of moments ago, just posting him up, and they're trying to make that isolation, and they have been able to get the ball to Ferry, and Ferry, that time, drew the foul, and Brown will have to sit.
That's good, smart basketball. Get it to the player who's being guarded by the one who's in foul trouble. Ferry made a couple of shots, and Brown's got to pick him up tighter and picks up his fourth.
Smith, little pump fake. Now he pulls up over West.
Smith's impressive for a non-starter. I mean, he doesn't start. He's averaging in double figures. But he's really come in and made some key shots for Duke.
He has 10. That's just about his season's average. There's Hayward outside for Sainer. Now, again, the Huskies are going to have to find somebody to pick up the scoring here with Brown out with 15 points. Sainer tries to go backdoor for Lautenbach. It's off the backboard. It'll be the Huskies' ball.
You know, one of the game plans today at the shoot-around was to force Washington to lob the ball. And what you're saying there is let's pressure the outside players and let's guard them tight and force them to throw the ball over our heads. And really, Washington's not been able to do that successfully.
Ferry made Rakasner change that shot in midair. Huskies will still have it.
Duke's been able to get the crowd out of this game. Washington just not been able to come back. The closest they were was 5 with 3 seconds to go in the first half. Ferry hit the three-pointer, which moved it to 8. And it's been hovering between 13 and 9 since halftime.
15 points right now. There's Hayward outside Ferry, right in Hayward's face. Tries to get it into West, and Ferry drops off on West nicely. Now Hayward hits the side of the backboard. Here come the Blue Devils. Henderson, one-on-one to the basket.
Good transition by him. I thought he might back that out. Looked like he was 1-on-2, 1-on-3, but he just put on the afterburners, took it right to the hoop, made it look easy.
Henderson's got 10 now.
And the game is slowly now slipping away from Washington. They have not been able to counter.
Duke's starting to shoot it better, too. Here's Rakasner. He gets into the paint, pulls up. And Danny Ferry again forced that turnover as he just stepped in front of Rakasner and made him do something with the ball he didn't want to do. Smith, 3 for 3 in this half. Now 3 for 4. West the rebound. And a foul on Bricky over the shoulder.
That's his fourth.
And we are going to have a timeout on the floor after that foul called on Bricky with 8:25 remaining in the ball game, and Duke now really in control. They lead by 15. To Dan Belwamini, Duke leads it by 15. You have to think that's a pretty comfortable lead the way this ball game has been going.
Well, the Huskies haven't been able to counter at all, Barry, in the last 3 or 4 minutes, and Duke has been able to handle the ball, not turn it over, get good percentage shot, good bench play. They've had people come off to do an excellent job led by John Smith, who's made some key shots.
Three-point shot that time by Rakasner. And that gets it back down to 12 points. Huskies are going to need a lot more of that, though, if they're really to have a legitimate chance of getting back into this. Here's Smith. He's had the hot hand here in the second half. They clear out for him, but Howard right on him. Now it's Leitner. And a 3-second call.
Abdelnabi, I guess, inside, trying to post up in there a little too long.
Hayward, incidentally, after an 8-point first half, has been bageled here in the second half. And Rakasner, prior to that 3-point shot, the same thing. Between the two of them, they were 0 for 6. Rakasner's 3-pointer a moment ago, the first basket in the second half for either one.
And those are the two guys that really need to score for this club. I mean, if they're going to win some games, Rakasner and Hayward are going to have to lead them and get their 17, 18 points.
There's Sainer outside. Now Rakasner. Howard underneath for Lautenbach, another turnover. 21st Husky turnover. Duke has turned it over 22 times, but remember they had 17 at the half.
Trying to play with confidence now to make good penetration, try to get some good shots. Wanted a walk, no call. Abdelnabi will tip in his own shot.
Yeah, that was not good. He came up through the bottom of the hoop, unfortunately, to do that.
Well, that's all right. I mean, if they don't catch you, it's okay. Thought he might have traveled here, but Abdelnabi, in fact, looked like he did drag the pivot foot, kind of got away with it, and hit the ball when it was in the cylinder. Yeah, he hit it when it was up on the rim. What they're saying, that's when it was offensive basket interference. You got to take him out of the game. Well, that was quick. They took Abdelnabi out. Mike Krzyzewski gave him a couple of words of wisdom, and now he's going back in the game again.
Here's Rakasner again, leaves it nicely for Hayward, and Hayward threw up a brick.
Looked like Hayward that time was trying to look down to avoid the charge instead of up at the basket, and just didn't have good body control.
Here's Smith, leaves it for Henderson. Henderson playing with 4 fouls, remember. Now Kubek. Smith again. Underneath it goes to Leitner. It's on the floor, however. Leitner picks it up and puts it in. Nice effort by the freshman Leitner.
When the ball's on the ground, it still amazes me when the ball's on the ground why guys don't dive on it, especially the defensive players, because once the offensive guy picks it up, it's over.
Sainer will take a 3-pointer, which went about 17 feet. Here is Henderson. Henderson all the way to the basket. Can't get the roll. 3 Blue Devils are there to fight for the rebound. Kubek got it, put it up, and drew the foul.
3 blue shirts, and Danny Ferry was not one of them. Ferry's out there trying to protect against the break if Washington could get the ball off the boards, but they can't. Hayward picks up his 3rd personal foul. Now the big worry for Mike Krzyzewski, I don't want my guys to foul out. He's trying to substitute, get people in and out of the game. Snyder's been out a long time. He's got 4. Henderson's got 4. Bricky has 4. Hasn't really slowed him down a whole lot.
No, it hasn't. Kubek misses the first try. He'll have another.
Tremendous advantage if you've got 9 or 10 players that can all play. Interchangeable parts. Got 10 quality players on this team.
And now Mike Krzyzewski going with his big team as he's got Ferry, Abdelnaby, and Leitner up front.
Tag you.
And Henderson and Smith in the backcourt. And those are no small backcourt people either. There's Hayward in amongst the timber there. And he couldn't get it to go. So he'll go to the free throw line for 2.
I'd like to see Hayward do more of that. Got the ball around the basket and went toward the hoop, drew the foul instead of fading away. And I think that's one area that Hayward's got to get a little better. He's a good perimeter player, but this is the type of play right here that the Huskies may need more of. Draws the foul on Leitner. And Hayward will get an opportunity to shoot 2 free throws.
Bricky comes back, and Riggs comes back for the Huskies. Bricky for the Blue Devils. Riggs was a starter, but Sainer has gone most of the way for Andy Russo tonight. Hayward with 8 points, all in the first half.
Well, the one thing you can do when you're an opposing team, if you come out and just kind of build the lead, #1 team in the country, it really does take the crowd out of this game. I mean, you can almost hear a pin drop in this place right now, where they were pretty excited when Washington cut the lead to 5.
1 out of 2 for Hayward. That's his first point of the second half.
Need a little full-court extension now. Let's pick up to go after him. Try to cause some problems.
Brian Brown back to the ball game for the Huskies. Jump hook by Ferry. And Ferry with 16.
It is nice to know that when you've got any kind of a problem, you've got a tremendous player like Ferry you can go to. Long jumper to Kasner.
That's his second 3-pointer of the half. Second in a row, as a matter of fact.
Of course, the difference in shot selection there is the Kasner shooting long perimeter jumpers, which you got to do to try to get back in the game, where Duke is selecting where they want to shoot the ball as Hayward's going to pick up his 4th.
And so now Hayward in foul trouble, and I have to think that Andy Russo will let him go at this point.
No, I don't think you have any choice right now. It's still only the 4th team foul. You've got a couple to take, but they need to go out and pressure a little bit.
Ferry inbounds for Abdelnaby.
Of course, Duke trying to run some clock with about 5 minutes to go, try to get the ball in the hands of their better players around the basket.
Abdelnaby in traffic, hammered from behind by Mark West. So West with his 3rd personal foul.
A strong inside power team that couples that with finesse and outside shooting and makes good decisions on the transition and has the ability to use different kinds of defenses to key their breaks. This is a club that just doesn't beat itself. I mean, it's a club that, well, he has gone to the Final Four 2 of the last 3 years, and this is a team that could end up here in Seattle, where, of course, the Final Four will be this year.
The Blue Devils will grab a quick bite after the game, and then they will take a red-eye back home to Durham. They will play Davidson on Thursday night.
And I think that's an away game. Oh, that's a long jumper there.
And it won't go. A long rebound out to Riggs. Ricasner this time. I thought he might try it again, but he gives it up for Brown. Brown will try it. Off the left side, it won't go. And the long rebound this time, fought for, brought down by Danny Ferry. Half-court pass goes to Smith, and they had a bad cripple there with Bricky on the break, but Abdelnaby did not see him.
Well, I really think there they were looking to waste a little clock, and Abdelnaby had Bricky, but, you know, so what? Right now, the ally is the clock for him. They don't need a lot more points.
So Smith gets into the lane and floats it in.
Yeah, right. Well, it's there, I guess. You know, back it out, but if you got an easy one, go ahead and shoot it.
It's the biggest lead of the night at 16 for the Duke Blue Devils, and a timeout on the floor with 4:05 remaining. It's Duke, the nation's #1 team, 73, Washington 57. Barry Tompkins with Dan Belwamini. Duke leads it by 16. That's their biggest lead of the ballgame. Remember the keys to winning that we talked about way back when, Dan?
Well, you really thought that they had to get the ball in Hayward's hand, and he needed to have a big game. And, of course, Mike Hayward has had 6 rebounds and 9 points, which I don't think obviously is enough. Hayward's a guy that's going to have to go ahead and score in the 15, 17, 18-point range, and the Blue Devils have done a good job of holding him down.
Huskies shooting at 38%, so they actually have dropped off a little bit in the first half. They were 40% at the half. Here's Ricasner into the lane, forced the shot, but got it.
Individual one-on-one move by Ricasner that time, and he's come back in the second half here to a couple of three-pointers and make an acrobatic shot in the lane. Washington trying to extend their defense.
Snyder back in the ball game now. He does have 7 assists.
What they're looking for here, if you're Duke, is a back cut and try to get an easy basket and run that 45-second clock down to about 15 before you start your offense.
Huskies bringing it way out now. And they got the timeout called before the 5-second call. So Bricky with a heady move and a timeout with 3:15 left. Duke handily in front by 14. We'll be back. Wisconsin, ESPN's PTP DV does the VO on that one. Snyder forced out of bounds, and a foul on Hayward, and that will be his 5th personal foul. So Mike Hayward's night is over. Tough second half for him.
Yeah, tough second half, and in that situation, I think you got to go ahead and they've got one foul to take before Duke goes to the free throw line. So if it's your 5th, you're 5th. You just go out and play hard and try to get a turnover. If you make a foul, you're out, and that's it. Now the next time, of course, Duke will go ahead and go. There's a nice pass for an easy basket.
Yeah, not bad.
There's a back cut. Riggs is overplaying a little bit, but you got to protect the basket, and he gives up an easy hoop.
That's Quinn Snyder's first basket of the night, but he does have 7 assists, so all the Duke Blue Devils help out. Everybody contributes. West with a basket. Well, I've seen a few basketball games this year and carried the ball about I'd say about 10 or 12 yards, but it looked good.
Well, that time it was so easy. Nobody in front of him, and Smith just takes the ball straight to the basket. He's got 12. Their bench has been pretty good. I mean, they've gotten near 30 points from their bench play.
Yeah, that's not bad. What I started to say, we've seen a few basketball teams between the two of us this year, and I sure haven't seen a better one than the Duke Blue Devils.
No, I like Duke. Duke's a good basketball team. Of course, you know, we did see, I think Arizona's a club that can definitely play with them. But Duke has, they got a lot of firepower, and, you know, you're playing on the road, and a lot of bad things normally happen when you're on the road, and there's a club that can handle adversity. They're going to be there when it's over.
Here's Riggs. Brown, the jumper, 3-pointer. Won't go, a little bit short. And Ferry another rebound, and another lead pass for Bricky. Good night, and the foul. And Bricky barks at Brian Brown.
Well, Robert Bricky that time was an easy, there's another pass by Ferry. Of course, who else? But Bricky, does he get off the ground on this one? I mean, he was looking down and cupped it with one hand. That was what you call a drop. Check out how high, that's elevation. It's called an elevation, not an elevation dunk, an elevation drop.
And Brian Brown came out of here with a cut on his cheek that's probably going to be swollen tomorrow from that. Deion Brown, I beg your pardon, fouled out with 15 points and took a shot to the cheek. And his face is going to look something like Frank Bruno's face is going to look on February 26th.
You don't think his face is going to look real good after that?
No. Here's Ricasner, pushes off to Snyder. Snyder got a hand on the ball.
Ferry again. You know, the guy's averaging 25 a game, but you get the impression that he'd rather make the great pass than score a lot of points. I mean, he's not really looking to score that many points. He's looking to do what's best for this club.
And Jenkins throws it nicely off of Smith to save the ball.
Husky ball on the ball.
Jenkins, another very streaky player who's been on a bit of a down lately for the Washington Huskies, and Andy Russo brings on Steve Hall, the freshman out of Detroit. There's Mark West. Turns in on Ferry. Might have traveled. Ferry gets the rebound. Here's Snyder. Now Henderson. Swing it around for Ferry.
And trying to make a foul now, and they're still not going to get the call.
This one is academic now, and Mike Krzyzewski will clear his bench.
I think he has to be happy, though, because, you know, he told us today at practice that he was afraid that this club, Washington, might come up and really come up with a great game.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't be surprised if they lost.
Yeah, he wouldn't be surprised, but he felt for his team to be a great team, they've got to play with confidence on the road and just go out and do the good things that they normally try to do. Good passes, good fundamental defense, try to get some turnovers, and they have played with a lot of confidence. I really think the key play of this game was Danny Ferry's three-pointer with 3 seconds to go in the first half.
Yeah, it really did. The Huskies got to within 5. For some reason, that three-point difference just seems a lot bigger than just the difference between 5 and 8.
Especially when you come out in the second half and get the first couple of hoops, and all of a sudden you extend the 8 points to 11 or 12. Now, if you're Washington, you're really looking up the hill, and you just can't get back.
And so Mike Krzyzewski finally gets to the bottom of his bench. Davis, who played a little bit in the first half, comes on. Crawford Palmer comes on. And Clay Buckley comes on. Palmer, a freshman, another 6'10 product out of Arlington, Virginia. Clay Buckley, from a basketball-playing family, incidentally, from Wayne, Pennsylvania, another 6'10 player. He's a sophomore. Comes on. Danny Ferry leads with 16 points, but that is by no means indicative of what kind of a game he had. 16 is just fine, but he just does so many things on the floor.
So many things that don't show up in the box score. Just good decisions. But you thought they didn't have another guy over 6'10", did you?
Yeah, that's right.
You thought this was the biggest team they could put on the floor, but They got somebody coming in now that's about 7 feet.
George Bergen, 7 feet, will come in for Smith, who's at the line.
Danny Ferry had a tremendous game, but I thought Smith coming off the bench was a key player. Made the three-pointers when they needed him. Certainly a guy that could be starting for most teams in the country. But gives, you know, he's happy coming in off the bench. Knows his role, which most of these players do, and understands his role. See, he missed that on purpose because he knew he was coming out. Figured, I'm gonna show him. I'll stay in there for another swing.
To the basket. That time, Steve Hall, the freshman. But another Husky turnover. Now Smith leaves and Bergen comes on. Smith leaves with 17 points, and 15 of them coming in the second half. So a real key to Duke's success in the second half, John Smith, off the bench.
Yeah, off the bench, and who found him a lot on the three-point area was Ferry. When they pitched the ball inside, Ferry was able to find Smith, who drilled the three-pointers to kind of open this game up.
So Abdul Nabi at 6'10 on the bench. Danny Ferry at 6'10 on the bench. John Smith 6'7 on the bench, and you got two 6'10s and a 7-footer out there. That'll tell you the kind of depth that Mike Krzyzewski has on his basketball team. And Buckley gets 2 attempts and makes the second one.
Of course, you said from a basketball family. I know his dad played for Duke. In fact, played against UCLA in the national finals in 1964, I believe it was.
Another Husky turnover. Here's Snyder now. 2-on-1. Between the legs to Davis.
Oh, let's end it with a kind of a through-the-leg, drill it in there for a layup.
10 assists for Quinn Snyder. Everybody on this team does their part. So the Duke Blue Devils finish with a flourish and win it by 26. The end result, their biggest lead of the night. The final score, Duke 87 and the Washington Huskies 61. And in the second half, no contest. For Dan Belwamini, I'm Barry Tompkins saying so long from Seattle. Now back to the ESPN studios and John Saunders.
Okay, thanks a lot, gentlemen. No contest in the second half, as you said, but it was the three-point shot by Danny Ferry at